Most people don't lack opportunity, they lack the internal capacity to see it. Abundance isn't something you chase, it's something you become. And if you constantly feel behind, stressed, or like there isn't enough, that's not a money problem, that's an identity problem. Now, I think it's important we define abundance because when many people hear abundance, they automatically think money. And abundance is much more than just money. It's an internal state of consciousness that exists regardless of external circumstances. Abundance is energy, it's creativity, it's health, it's opportunity, it's connection, it's peace, it's everything. And if you're not abundant, you're most likely in a scarcity mindset. And scarcity isn't logical, it's programmed. It's learned through comparison, through fear, through not feeling safe. And it doesn't help that we have all these social media platforms nowadays that literally thrust comparison in your face by showing us the seemingly great lives of others. But you can still have money and feel broke. You can have opportunities and still feel stuck. And that's why it's important that I tell you that scarcity is a program. It's a learned program, not indicative of objective reality. If your nervous system is in survival mode, you more often not interpret neutral events as threats. And to give you an example, most recently my truck was acting up, so I took it in to get looked at, and long story short, it was beyond repair. And the realization that I would have to fork over a big chunk of change in order to get a new car, as well as pay off student loans, among other expenses, really compounded, making my nervous system go haywire. And the thoughts of scarcity built up, and the thought of not having enough money was as real as it gets. But what is reality? Because the reality of the situation was I wasn't in massive amounts of debt. I had a home, I had a temporary car that I could drive, and there was no real detrimental opposition that could actually make me go into a survival mode. So is it true that I didn't have enough, or is it just a facet of the mind, an illusion? Now this brings us into the core teaching of abundance, which is you do not experience life as it is. You experience life as you are. And if you identify as someone who struggles, you're going to find struggle. If you identify as someone who creates value, you're going to find opportunity. And to give us a little bit of a structure of how this works, we have identity, which is who you believe you are at your core, your self-concept, the story you carry about yourself. If you believe I'm unlucky or I create value, that belief becomes your filter. And then perception, which is how you interpret reality. Two people can experience the same situation and see something completely different. Identity determines what you notice, what you ignore, and what you label as a threat or opportunity. Then action, how you behave based on what you perceive. If you see opportunity, you move. If you see danger, you hesitate. You always act in alignment with who you think you are. And that is the result, the outcome that reinforces your identity. Your actions create evidence, and that evidence strengthens your original belief. And that's the loop there, folks. If you believe you're abundant, you see opportunity, you act boldly, and you get results that confirm that abundance. If you believe you're lacking, you see obstacles, you act cautiously, and you get results that confirm that scarcity. And identity starts the chain. Results reinforce it. And that's why changing behavior without changing identity rarely lasts. Philosophically speaking, one of the biggest signs of abundance is giving. And the ego says, if I give, I lose, which is a result of a scarcity mindset, whereas abundance says, if I give, it's proof of having. And when you give your value, time, effort, love, knowledge, you signal to your own identity that you are resourced, and the universe responds to that identity by giving you more. And scarcity contracts while abundance circulates. And just look at nature. Circulation creates life. Blood flows, air moves, water cycles, and when something stops circulating, it dies. And when you hold too tightly, you shrink, and when you give freely, you expand. And changing from scarcity to abundance requires internal safety. If your body is tense, anxious, defensive, your mind cannot see expansion, and you cannot create from a survival state. And abundance literally requires this internal safety, because when you calm your nervous system, you widen your perception. A calm body and a clear perception is the ultimate state in order to create abundance. And it amazes me how many people, myself included, live life with a constant anxiousness or lingering anxiety. But when you get really conscious, you ask yourself, why? Why am I so anxious and unhappy that I can't enjoy the present moment? Why am I looking forward to the weekend? Why am I looking forward to some sort of future as if there will be some sort of fulfillment that is not currently present? And once again, this is all an illusion. And there's modalities that will create that optimal state in order to create abundance, such as breathwork, exercise, journaling, prayer, meditation, walks in nature, socialization, and there's many more. And these are all ways you can deregulate the nervous system in order to better live in a state that is conducive to abundance. Like most changes, abundance is practiced daily, not wished for. So number one would be notice the scarcity thoughts. Catch yourself thinking there isn't enough. 2, shift to creation mode. Ask, what can I build instead of what might I lose? Move before you feel ready. Action builds the evidence required to live in an abundant state. Give value freely. Scarcity mindset is a hoarding mindset, whereas abundance circulates. And regulate your state. You can't create from panic or anxiety. The world feels scarce when you feel small. And the world feels abundant when you feel powerful. Because you don't attract what you want. You attract what you embody. And abundance isn't out there waiting for you somewhere. It begins with who you decide to be. So if this resonated with you all, leave a comment, let me know. I appreciate you guys and love y'all.